The global trade system is in turmoil, facing unprecedented challenges and disruptions. On one side stands the United States, a giant bruised but still powerful, grappling with internal and external pressures. On the other, a rising China, flexing its economic muscles and expanding its influence across the globe. The two superpowers are locked in a trade war, a conflict with no end in sight, affecting economies worldwide. Tariffs and sanctions fly back and forth, creating a volatile environment for international trade. Each side claims the moral high ground, justifying their actions as necessary for their national interests. But one thing is clear, the world is changing, and the old rules no longer apply. The latest volley in this trade war came just days ago, escalating tensions even further. The United States, led by the unpredictable Donald Trump, levied a new round of tariffs on Chinese goods, aiming to pressure Beijing. China retaliated in kind, targeting American industries with its own punitive measures. The stakes are high, and the consequences are far-reaching. This is about more than just soybeans and steel. It's a battle for economic supremacy and global influence. It's about who will write the rules of the 21st century global economy, shaping the future for generations to come. The impact is felt far beyond Washington and Beijing, reverberating through global markets and affecting everyday lives. Businesses around the world are caught in the crossfire. Supply chains are disrupted, and consumers face higher prices as a result. And the uncertainty is fueling anxiety in markets from Tokyo to London, shaking investor confidence. The old order, the one America built after World War II, is crumbling, unable to withstand the pressures of a changing world. In its place, a new order is emerging, one shaped by China's ambition and growing might, redefining global power dynamics. The seeds of this conflict were sown back in 2018, a year that would mark the beginning of a significant shift in global trade dynamics. Donald Trump, a businessman with little patience for diplomacy, had just taken office. His approach to international relations was unconventional and often confrontational. He campaigned on a promise to make America great again, a slogan that resonated with many Americans who felt left behind by globalization. Central to his vision was confronting China, which he accused of unfair trade practices, intellectual property theft, and currency manipulation. These accusations were not new, but Trump was determined to take action. Trump believed that China's economic rise had come at America's expense. He saw the trade deficit as a symbol of American decline. He was determined to reverse that trend, even if it meant upending decades of global trade norms. His administration was ready to challenge the status quo, Trump's weapon of choice tariffs. These were not just any tariffs, but hefty taxes designed to hit China where it hurt. He slapped hefty taxes on billions of dollars worth of Chinese imports, from washing machines to solar panels. The aim was to make Chinese goods more expensive and less attractive to American consumers. The goal was twofold: to protect American jobs and force China to the negotiating table. Trump believed that economic pressure would bring China to heel. Beijing, however, refused to back down. The Chinese government was equally determined to defend its economic interests. It responded with tariffs of its own, targeting American agricultural products and other key exports. This move was designed to hit Trump's political base hard. The trade war was on. What started as a series of economic measures quickly escalated into a full-blown conflict, reshaping the landscape of international trade. What Trump failed to grasp was that China had been preparing for this moment. For years, Beijing had been quietly diversifying its economy, reducing its reliance on the American market. It poured money into infrastructure projects across Asia, Africa, and Latin America, forging new trade routes and securing access to raw materials. China also invested heavily in its own technological development, aiming to become a leader in fields like artificial intelligence, robotics, and renewable energy. China understood that the United States, under Trump, was becoming increasingly isolationist and protectionist. It saw an opportunity to fill the void left by America's retreat from global leadership. And so, while Trump was busy building walls, China was building bridges, positioning itself at the center of a new global network of trade and investment. Southward bound. China's pivot to the global south has been remarkably successful. Today, China is the largest trading partner of many developing countries, from Brazil to Nigeria to Vietnam. It has signed free trade agreements with numerous nations, offering them access to its vast consumer market. China is also a major investor in infrastructure projects in these countries, building roads, railways, and ports that are helping to fuel their economic growth. This outreach has not gone unnoticed in Washington. American policymakers are increasingly concerned about China's growing influence, particularly in regions traditionally seen as within the United States' sphere of influence. They worry that China is using its economic clout to advance its geopolitical interests, undermining American leadership and promoting its own authoritarian model of governance. The tech game. The trade war has also spilled over into the realm of technology. The United States has imposed restrictions on Chinese tech companies like Huawei, barring them from accessing American components and technology. Washington accuses Huawei of being a national security threat, alleging that its equipment could be used for espionage by the Chinese government. Huawei denies these allegations, but the damage has been done. Despite these setbacks, China continues to make strides in developing its own technological prowess. It is investing heavily in research and development, attracting top talent from around the world. Chinese companies are emerging as leaders in fields like artificial intelligence, 5G wireless technology, and quantum computing. The trade war may have slowed China's progress, but it has not stopped it. The energy gambit. Energy is another front in the U.S. China rivalry. China is the world's largest energy consumer, and it has traditionally relied heavily on imports from the Middle East and other regions. The United States, meanwhile, has become a major energy producer in recent years, thanks to the shale revolution. This has given Washington a powerful tool to wield in its competition with Beijing. China, however, is reducing its dependence on American energy. It has secured long-term energy deals with Russia and other suppliers. It is also investing heavily in renewable energy sources like solar and wind power. These moves are reshaping global energy flows and weakening America's leverage in a sector that is crucial to its economic and geopolitical power. A new world order. The U.S.-China trade war is a symptom of a larger geopolitical shift that is underway. This conflict is not just about tariffs and trade deficits, it represents a deeper struggle for global influence and economic dominance. The global balance of power is shifting, and the United States is no longer the unchallenged hegemon it once was. The rise of China is challenging the status quo, creating a new dynamic in international relations. China is rising, and it is determined to reshape the global order in its own image. With its rapid economic growth and expanding military capabilities, China is positioning itself as a global leader. This new order will be more multipolar, with power distributed among a wider range of actors. Countries like India, Russia, and the European Union are also vying for influence in this evolving landscape. The implications of this shift are profound. Economies around the world are interconnected, and changes in one region can have ripple effects globally. The rules-based international order that America built after World War II is under strain. The institutions that have governed global trade and diplomacy are being tested like never before. Global institutions like the World Trade Organization are facing challenges to their legitimacy. Protests and political pressures are calling into question their effectiveness and fairness. And the United States is finding it increasingly difficult to impose its will on the rest of the world. Diplomatic efforts are becoming more complex and contentious. The trade war with China is just one chapter in this larger story, a story that is still being written. Each negotiation, each tariff, and each policy decision adds a new layer to this unfolding narrative. The outcome remains uncertain, but one thing is clear. The world is entering a new era, one marked by uncertainty, volatility, and the potential for both conflict and cooperation. The future of global order hangs in the balance, and the actions of today will shape the world of tomorrow.